All right, folks, welcome back to Street City Studio. If you've been here before, if not, I'm John, and this is my channel. If it's not obvious already, I got some new toys. I got some fantastic four first steps figures, and obviously, I got them open already. Mostly because the vehicle said some assembly required. I didn't want to go through all that while I was trying to make the video and stuff. But as a big fan of Marvel Cinematic Universe figures, I'm super excited to have these guys. Uh, some of you might be aware, but really, the 3 3/4 MCU figures are what kept me collecting 3 3/4 probably for a good 5 or 6 years. Um, right around the time I'm trying to think where my Wolverine would be. I don't know that I had him out and ready, but he's not far. I think. Wolverine. Well, either way, I don't have to dig around for Wolverine right this second. But that Wolverine movie. Well, there's Sabretooth too. Right? There's that Sabretooth. Yeah, I'm not seeing Wolverine right on top of the bag here anywhere. Oh, I did. Alright. So, these figures. This is what I was trying to say here. Is this line of figures here pulled me back into 3 3/4 at a point where I was kind of frustrated with it because of Star Wars mostly, right? Star Wars, G.I. Joe was doing okay, and so Marvel and G.I. Joe kind of pulled me back. I think that was around the time of like the 25th anniversary, right between that funny little gap of the 25th anniversary and the 50th anniversary figures, right? They started getting some really nice designs going on, uh, nice articulation, right on the Marvel figures, looking real close to photo realistic, real screen accurate, right? And for a couple years, it was just going up from there, right? I hate to pull out some of the last figures. Yeah, let's see. Right, but definitely the Marvel Universe and those movie lines that tied into the Iron Man movie, the Captain America movie. Right, where is he? Right, there we go. One of my favorite figures, even to this day, right, is that Red Skull with the Tesseract. Right. But the Iron Man lines, the Captain America lines, oh, here we go. The Avengers figures, right? And even a lot of them have issues, right? This isn't the best likeness, or at least the paint job has kind of a strange look to her face, right? Hawkeye never once wore sunglasses in the movies, right? It would have been real nice to get a figure without the sunglasses, but you know, as we all know, eventually the lines really started petering out. Oh, I just knocked over a bunch of them, right? And we kind of got a last handful of figures. Where did I just put the captain? Oh, he's right here, right? We got a couple last figures that they did a really good job on, like the Captain America, the Sam Wilson Falcon. Right? They gave us a less good, but still good looking, right? Black Panther, and I say less good because he's really limited on his articulation. But we got a couple as a little last hurrah, right? Some Doctor Strange. And again, he's limited as well. He doesn't have wrist articulation. They kind of just covered their bases, right? Gave us, I think that was about the last hurrah, right? It was Spider-Man and Vulture, and Doctor Strange, and Black Panther, and Agent 13, right? Let's see, right there, Agent 13. But the point was, I was real deep into these 3 3/4 MCU figures. We haven't gotten very much in a long, long time. Even to the point where we had never, in my opinion, gotten any kind of acceptable Hulk figure. Right? I ended up making some customs. Got a couple over here still too. Right? Right. There's another custom Hulk. And actually, this one's a lot less customed, but I did do his skin color up so that it matches with my other MCU Hulks. But the point is, I was real happy. Let me clear some of these guys out now that I'm just filling it up over here. Real happy to get some more MCU figures. And I do have some criticisms about these, but I didn't expect a whole lot from them either. I kind of had a good idea of what we were getting into with these guys, because I do have other figures from these guys, right? This is Epic World of Action. Maybe I don't have figures from these guys. I don't know that I have any other figures from Epic Hero or Epic World of Action. I don't know why. I thought they were under the same branding as like that Guardians of the Galaxy set, especially just because their construction's basically the same, right? And even the whole packaging loadout, right? We got excuse me. With that last, right, the Guardians of the Galaxy, we got Rocket with that ship, and that seems real similar to the way they've done this thing with the Fantastic Car, right? Now, I didn't dig out that ship because I packed it away immediately. The one that came with Rocket. I don't love that ship very much, but I bought it just for Rocket. I had to get this figure. That ship would be alright if it was bigger, I think. I don't need a lot of fancy interior from it, but it's just so tiny in comparison to what it should be on screen, right? But anyways, I'm gonna try and keep rolling. I keep talking about my love of these figures, but I think I'm kind of really geeked that Marvel is putting out 3 3/4 figures again. And I hate to be the guy that says let's settle for worse figures, right? But there's kind of a standard bar I set, right? If they were worse than this, I wouldn't have bought them, right? I don't buy any of the retro figures. I happily skip over just a ton of these less articulated figures that I see on the shelves. But if they're MCU specific and they kind of meet that bar, I'll buy them every time because I want them, right? As a company, I want them to know what I want, right? And you gotta tell these companies with your money, right? And I don't make a lot of money. I'm not a rich guy, but if I want Fantastic Four toys, I'm gonna get out there and buy some Fantastic Four toys every chance I get, so that they know I'm spending my money on Fantastic Four toys, right? And it's been a long time coming to get the first family back at Marvel, and that's exciting to me. I won't get too deep into talking about the film, I guess, but I really did enjoy the film. Uh, it was surprisingly good. I think I did. I think I had low expectations just because Marvel set the bar so low recently. Uh, but some of the CGI, especially between Human Torch and the Thing, it wasn't quite what it could have been. But the story and the action and everything else met the standards, right? They were high enough to carry the subpar CGI, and I really did want to complain about some of the scenes, especially like Human Torch. I mean, I seen better Human Torches 20 years ago in movies that people complain about, right? Some of that fire just looked bad, but it wasn't bad enough to drag me out of the movie necessarily. And same with Thing. Some of the scenes looked really good, but then some of them kind of looked, I don't know, AI generated almost, just kind of bad. Uh, but the story and the acting, everything was there, so I can excuse it. Kind of like what was it, Tron Legacy, right? We just went and seen that Tron Ares, so I can use Tron Legacy as a good example. I'm a big fan of Tron Legacy, and everybody loves to complain about the de-aging they did for Clue, and right, it does. It looks bad. It doesn't look good, and it's nearly enough to pull you out of the movie and ruin the movie. But the rest of the movie's good enough that you can excuse it, right? You're like, well, that's the one flaw in an otherwise good movie. If you can look past that, you can really enjoy the rest of the movie. And so that's kind of how I felt about the Fantastic Four's CGI issues, right? They weren't bad enough to really drag the movie down much. So I was happy for that. But like I said, I don't want to spend all day talking about the movie itself here. I want to get into these toys. So let's do that. I'm going to try and make a little bit of space here and bring in the Fantastic Car. And now, I'm not normally a big vehicle guy, so I don't really get a lot of vehicles because they're expensive and they take up a lot of shelf space. Right? But this one, he's not even on screen, is he? I couldn't be paying attention less. My bad, guys. But this vehicle, it's got the right look, It's simple, it's sleek, it fits all of them in there. Right? I was impressed by that right out the jump. The fact that the whole team can fit in there. It's got some nice little details. I'll try and pull Thing out of here so we can take a look at the interior, right? It's got the little fours for feet mats or whatever, right? They each got little controls, steering wheels, highly detailed, and turns. It's got a detailed little dashboard under there. It's kind of hard to get that angle, but a lot of details packed in there, right? Little fours everywhere, little four motif there, four motif. Oh, it's dark. Kind of see it. You can see it better on the packaging, I think, there, but it's there, right? But not just that, the little play features are pretty neat, I thought. This is well done and well thought out, right? It's got the hover mode, right? Nothing super complicated, but worth it, right? I'm glad they put it in there. It's kind of cheap and kind of cheesy, but it works. It's sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart when you do it too many times or whatever. Ooh, knocking my background down. And also, you got this little retractable, oh, I don't know what to call it, figure stand type support. Right? It's like fits the whole. I don't know, but it's a little clip in for the figure. It's a little clip in to hold Human Torch flying alongside the car there, right? So that you can have right alongside it. But I really like how they did that, so that you can just kind of put it away. Because I'm the type of guy, I'm probably not going to have that sticking out too often. But I'm also the kind of guy that might lose it if I don't keep it on the vehicle. So I'd be inclined to keep it on the vehicle and then turn the vehicle out that way just so you can't see it as much, right? Maybe even try and hide it with a figure, right? Let me show you. Right? If it didn't go away, if it didn't tuck away underneath there, it looks something like this on your shelf. I'd be trying to stick a figure in front of it and hide it, you know, like that. But I'm really happy to see that it does have that little spot there. And so while this is, you know, this is kind of a kid's toy, I really do like that. It's built well. It was thought out well. And onto the figures, right? Well, this figure specifically. I do like the head sculpt a lot, right? You can't even see it too well, but there you go. It's a good likeness. It looks like Thing. It looks like the Thing from the movie. But on that note, he's not very big and he's not very posable, right? He has shoulders and elbows. They pivot and swivel, but he has no wrists, right? He has no waist articulation. He has hips and knees, but no ankles, right? And again, I wasn't expecting any of these things. I knew kind of what the articulation was, because I had bought these other, right? Like I said, I had these guys previously, and I knew they didn't have, they don't all have ankles and wrists. But now here, when you start sticking them next to each other, I'm trying to get back here, right? If you look, Drax is about the same size, maybe even a little taller than the Thing. I definitely think Thing is thick enough, but he could do with being a little bigger, I think. And I think find it better. A better way to elaborate this would be Groot. Right, we got this swole Groot from that last set, and you can stand him in there and see he's bigger than the Thing, right? And, if you go even with some of these older, more articulated figures that came out of those final MCU runs, even figures, the basic figures like Star-Lord, Captain America, right? Doctor Strange. These guys were all slightly taller than some of those MCU figures. And so even your average Joe figures are all a good half a foot to a foot taller than Thing. Right? Thing. I'm going to start knocking them over as I build them up here. Right? the thing could be somewhere around here, I think. Right there, even with Groot. And that would be perfect. But he's not. He's down here. The articulation I can excuse to an extent and just kind of overlook it. But anytime I stick them next to somebody, I'm going to be looking for ways to force the perspective. Right? Let me get them back out of here, though. Keep this rolling. I don't want to have to force the perspective every time, though. That's the point. But we'll keep on moving and get into these other figures now. We will start with Sue and Franklin. There's not much to say about the figure because you can barely see anything on the figure. I don't dislike the figure, but I wouldn't have minded maybe a partial phase. I don't know, because she seemed to do a lot of shimmering instead of full-on invisibility, right? But the figures, because of their lack of articulation and stuff, it's kind of hard to get her to hold the baby. But the baby does have some articulation here. He can turn his head, so that's kind of cool. And I did get the feet locked around her arm to kind of look like she's cradling him, blocking him from Galactus or whatever there. And her shield's alright. I kind of like the shield. But again, it's hard to make out any details, especially on the camera. There we go. Let me see if it'll stay. Right, they just got that 4 kind of painted on there. Everything else is clear. And her articulation's the same, right? No ankles, no wrists. But she does come with the shield. That's alright. And you can see the sculpted details there, right? You can see the sweater lines. You can see the raised lines around the 4 and her belt. All that, right? Lines on her pants and boots. But it just kind of strikes me as the least remarkable figure, I guess. But we'll keep on rolling with H.E.R.B.I.E, right? Now, I haven't mentioned, but I do have Marvel Universe Fantastic Four, and even a Showdown Mr. Fantastic. But just to kind of compare, right? My old H.E.R.B.I.E with the new H.E.R.B.I.E. And I think I do prefer the new one. For anybody that has this figure, you might already know, he's very limited. He just has his head articulation there, right? And it's not bad, though. He can look up and down, left and right. He's got a little plug on his back. I always found that kind of amusing. But if you have this figure, you might know some of them are real hard to get to stand. And I had, this one stands now pretty good, but I had to put some hot water to him and warp his legs out a little bit, because out of the box he just would tip right over every time. But I think that's my new go-to H.E.R.B.I.E. And I even like the white and blue and silver. Really feel like I want to take some pictures of him with some R2-D2. Made some friends, right? With him, I don't think I've ever been super inspired to take any pictures of this one, you know? So that'll be fun. But we'll keep on moving here with who else? We'll move on to the next sweater thing, or sweater Ben Grimm thing in a sweater, right? And I do like that we've gotten both versions. They could have given one of these versions a fist, maybe. Both of them have these kind of steering wheel hands, I guess you'd call them. Right? They're kind of a grippy, flat fist. Right? But they're mainly for holding the steering wheel on that thing, I think. But I do like that we got one with the sweater and one without. I liked the sweater design for him. I like the whole costume designs throughout. I was worried that we were going to get more of the MCU costumes that we've been seeing so much of. And these were a nice break from that, I thought. I did notice that this version, the one that came with the Fantastic car, his pants, his blue is a little bit darker than the rest of the figures. Right. So a little bit of variation and variety in there. Kind of thought they were supposed to be the same thing, but if you want to pretend they're the same, you can. I'm sure they're nearly identical, just a slightly different blue, slightly darker. We'll move on to Human Torch. Right. I got him kind of posed out funny here. I got this attachment that's supposed to go to his hand. I'm sure that's supposed to be on his hand. I stuck it on his feet. See? So it kind of looked like he's taking off. So a little fire blast off from his feet. Stick that down there, and you can, right, something like that. You have him blocking that a little bit. Both of them even block the whole thing. But you get the idea. This thing's supposed to go on his hand, I think. Right? He's throwing some fireballs at somebody. Oh, we can do that too. Just kind of playing with it, thinking that might look good off his toes. Right? This looked too bare, like he needed some sort of lift off. Right? Like those old Iron Man figures used to come with the little blast off thing. I don't think those ever worked really well, but the idea was solid, I think. And this figure, it's not the best figure. It's not my favorite figure. I've always been a big fan of having a Human Torch figure, but sometimes they're really hit or miss, right? And this paint job, it looks all right. I don't despise it exactly, but if it would have looked more like that, that would have been sweet, right? But even when they put it together on the box, right, they were trying to really sell it, so they knew, right? They made that adjustment in Photoshop or whatever, right? Just because that looks so much better, right? If they would have just printed him out, or not printed, if they would have just done his plastic in that clear orange like that, maybe even use the same yellow highlights on the orange, I think that would have looked a lot better than the almost not see-through red. And that's part of it too. It's translucent. Let me get him off of there. Get him closer to the camera so we can talk about it. So he is translucent, but barely, right? Not in the kind of way that she's translucent. She's real translucent, right? So the fact that it's a deep red instead of orange, and the fact that it's barely translucent, just enough to kind of pick up some light in certain angles. Right there you go. Pick up some light right there. But if it was a little more translucent, it would pick up that much more light. And it would really glow like it does in this picture here. But, I mean, just the... Ooh. That didn't work, did it? Alright, well, I'm not going to mess with it. Try and put it back right now. We'll just toss that down there and stand him right here. But I do like the look of the figure. It has a nice look. The sculpting is all nice. He has these very specific flight style hands. These karate chopping hands. I don't love that by itself, right? In the right poses, it's perfect. It looks great, but only in the right poses. And that's something we always struggle with certain figures, right? Certain figures only get certain hand poses and certain, right? Just like him, right? He's got the steering wheel hand pose. He's got the flight hand pose. It is what it is. But we can move on here. And I think this one, Mr. Fantastic, is probably my favorite figure from the group here. And mostly because of this extra arm accessory. If I can pop that off there. It came with a swappable hand just on the one hand. Right, there you go. And you can have you a normal looking Reed Richards. Or that stretchy arm. And now, it's not the most. I know a lot of you guys with 6-inch figures, Marvel Legends and stuff, you guys are really used to having swappable limbs for figures like Mr. Fantastic. But for me, I have been so far limited to the Marvel Universe Mr. Fantastic and this Marvel Showdown Mr. Fantastic, neither of which I have any kind of stretchy appendages for. So, this is my first. Well, technically, I used to have a movie Mr. Fantastic from the last run of movies, or that first run of movies, right? That Ian Griffard, Mr. Fantastic. I did have a figure. I think it was Marvel Legends or Toy Biz figure of him. But in 3 3/4, this is my first Mr. Fantastic with stretched out limbs. And so I'm a big fan of having this extra stretched out arm here. It's kind of weird that it goes onto his wrist instead of his elbow, because we're already past his elbow. Get it popped down there and I'll point it out. So it kind of gives him 2 elbows here. He has the elbow here, but he also has this elbow up here. And so you kind of got to straighten this one out, or it looks weird. And I guess because he's so stretchy, he can do that. It doesn't look too weird, but it just looks a little more natural if you're careful, I think. But it makes for a good landing kind of stretch, like you seen him do in the movie a couple times. Make for some good reaching up high, like he did a couple times, I'm sure. Right? And it's not the most versatile piece in the world, but it's more than I've had so far. Right now I can have a stretched Mr. Fantastic in a stretched pose. I like that a lot. Super happy about that one. And that's probably how I'll have him posed up most of the time, is how I showed him from the start, right? That's how I was playing with him already. Had him like he was doing a landing like that, right? Somewhere in there. Something like that. Here, let me put him somewhere a little more visible, right? There we go. And so now, that's about it, guys. I was going to share, like I said, I do have these guys that I'll throw in here for some comparison. But, I mean, I think a lot of people have already covered these things, right? I've seen lots of pictures floating around Facebook, lots of reviews and box openings already. I do have several Invisible Women. I've got the Marvel Universe Invisible Woman, but I've also... Nope, she don't want to stand now. Put her over here by her. And she's about the same size, I suppose. But I do have this Burger King Invisible Woman that I had broke off the cup or whatever. I always like that one. It's kind of a milky, ghosty, kind of translucent. And the Marvel Universe Human Torch. Do a little comparison, and I've got similar complaints about this one as I do with this new one, right? I'm not a super big fan of the way that they translated his look. He kind of looks like Darth Maul with these horns up here. They don't look much like flames to me. And I understand the comic book does depict him red like that usually. But I don't think this translates it well, right? When they draw him red like this, he's usually surrounded by a little thin layer of yellow border, right? And that doesn't carry over here, right? They tried to maybe copy that with these horns, but again, they look more like horns to me. And so this was never one of my favorite versions of Human Torch, basically, is what I'm saying. So this one isn't really a step down from that. I'd rather have this on my shelf, I think. But I'd really rather have that, right? But that is okay. Get these guys out of here. Probably. Oh, no, she stays. I'll probably hit the pause button and give you guys a look at how they are on my shelf as soon as I get them back up there. Alright, we got them back on the shelf, and we're going to take a look. It's kind of dark, so I got my light here. We'll try and keep it well lit for what we got here. But the back's definitely harder to see. And this isn't all my figures. I got just a ton of MCU related figures that aren't up here. Customs that aren't up to par, or even just figures I don't quite love as much. But down here we got Quinjet and the Iron Man car thing. Looking a little jealous maybe. But that's the main setup for now. Right. Put that light over here. Can't see the back quite as well, like I said. Try and get this light in there. But that'll probably do us for today. I'm getting dizzy just looking at it moving around freely like this, so I'm sure you guys are too. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, checking out my new toys. Have a good rest of your week. It's Monday, so we got a long ways to go. Hopefully I get this posted on Monday, but it's Monday for me. I have a long week to go still. I still haven't been to work yet today, so I got work. A whole week of work still to go. But I appreciate you guys coming by and checking out my new Fantastic Four, my new Fantastic car. I do like that we got both the shirtless and the sweatered version. That's really cool. I'm happy about that. I still need Galactus, but other than him, I'm pretty happy. Right? My MCU is feeling fuller already. Hasn't had any new figures, I think, since these Guardians. So that's super cool. But like I said, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys. Keep playing with them toys, and I'll talk to you again real soon.